Okay, welcome back to State of the Nation. We're very, very happy to welcome our next guest. Kate Monroe is a GOP candidate for the California District 49. She's a retired United States Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. She's also a wife, mother, veteran, an activist, business
Yep,
owner.
yep.
And I must say, Kate, welcome back to the program. And last time you were on, you kind of teased us with what you were going to do. Well, now we know exactly what you did. You went to the
Yeah.
border, you took it upon yourself. For those of you who don't remember, there was a video going around on the news a couple of weeks ago that was showing all these Chinese, mostly Chinese, coming through right around a fence opening on our southern border. Well, Kate Monroe went down there, spent her own dollars on razor wire, and she sealed that hole up. Kate Monroe, first of all, thank you for doing that. And secondly, welcome back to the show. How are you? How's things going with you?
I'm good. I'm stoked. We've been down two or three times now, and every time we go, we're joined with more and more veterans, more and more, everyday civilians that want to get out there and help secure the border. So I'm feeling good. I'm stoked.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
great.
Well, what's it like dealing with razor wire? I was watching you on your social media. By the way, you should definitely follow Kate's IG. If you're not, you're missing out. But I was watching you guys do that. It's good to see more people joining you also. I've noticed you've made subsequent trips. You've got a
Yeah.
larger group of people with you. But tell us a little bit about what that's like.
Well, you never know what you're going to be met with, first off. We typically go by and run by the migrant camps where they rally them all together so that they can be picked up and taken anywhere that they want to go. Most of them are going to the East Coast. Like, for instance, we talked to three young Colombian women yesterday, and it took them 3 days to get here. The cartel brought them to the border. They walked across. They were met with Border Patrol. Immigration was going to pick them up, already had plane tickets for them to fly to New Orleans and meet their friends. So when that's the first thing you see during the day, it gives you a lot of peace about what you're going to do after to go secure the border. And it's not easy, because people drive by. You never know, because you can see the cartel about 100 yards off in their vans just watching you with binoculars. So it's not necessarily the safest thing to do. I don't recommend that people do it without protection. It's not something that everybody should be doing. But certainly the armed veterans, that's probably the good guys to get out there and do it. But it's a little nerve wracking. I have to say, I take a body man out with me, Brett, who is the CEO of Iron Goat Defense. He goes out with me and does a good job protecting me, but it's crazy. I mean, as you can see, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate is showing us her battle wounds. So yeah, I mean, because you were wearing gloves when you were putting that razor wire up, but apparently that razor wire cut through the gloves. Is that what happened?
Well, sometimes you take your gloves off and you're just filming stuff, but you don't always realize how close you are to the wire. I mean, I got it
Yeah.
stuck in my pants, and when I got it stuck in my pants and jerked back, I nearly sliced my finger off. So it's
Ouch.
I wouldn't suggest people try to cross over the razor wire that we put up.
Yeah. And as far as, so you say you're being watched from the other side. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's operatives from cartel people maybe seeing people over, especially in these getaway zones, right? So are
Yep.
you finding, clearly that's a little bit dangerous. Are you finding any like countermeasures or resistance or anything like that?
They don't typically resist us. I mean, we don't try to stop the people that are crossing. Yesterday, just before we got to this third hole that we went to patch, 30 people passed by us as we were driving out, carrying their luggage and their bags and everything, because they had just crossed over about 5 minutes before. And it's just absolutely crazy. When we got there, we saw how they got over. They throw a blanket over the razor wire because nobody does what we do. They don't really go put it up. They don't do any infrastructure. They just lay the razor wire there. So some of the guys showed us how easy it was to cross over. And if you guys want, I'll show you what we found on the other side of the border. But it's nerve wracking what we found, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
what
Well,
what what was interesting about your video was at one point in the video, the first trip over, uh, you're saying, "Here I am in the United States." You take two steps over. Now I'm in Mexico. Now I'm back in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, you crossed the border two or three times in the span of about 30 seconds. That's how easy it is to get over. So, what did
Yeah.
you find at the border that should concern all Americans beyond 30 people that passed you as you were going.
Yeah. Well, I have a bunch of show and tell, like I said. So the first thing that we find down there, this actually got pulled out of one of the tires in the caravan of people we took down. They make these out of rebar, and they're very sharp, and they're meant to impede our efforts to get down to the border. We now know we got to stop and get out and do a sweep and a check. Last time we went out, we found about 15 of these buried in the dirt. So you have to be very careful. So they're trying to stop us. They're not doing a very good job, though. But we found a bunch of passports. So here's one from Pakistan. Here's one from China. I'm sure there's no ill will there at all. We got Turkey, Ethiopia. I mean, I have a stack of these things. They're littered all over the other side of the border, because what they've learned is they need their passport to fly to Mexico. But they don't want to have their passport on them when they cross, because then they can't get asylum, because they're not coming from somewhere where they would be owed asylum. I actually sent these passports to my buddies, and they're running them right now against the terror watch list. So it'll be very interesting when I get that news back.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. You would think that if this country even cared, they would go and collect all of those, like just, a little border patrol trip over the border, collect all those up and give them to some, researcher or law enforcement person for analysis. But no, we've got citizens going out having to do that right now. Okay. Our veterans are having to go out and do that right now and use their own resources to make that happen. Let that sink in while we take this brief headline from today's News Talk TNT.
Issues that dominate America. This is State of the Nation on today's News Talk Radio, TNT.